B&B spoilers. Luna's meltdown turns violent. Electra becomes the target. The bold and the beautiful spoilers suggest that Luna Nozawa, Lisa Yamada, will see a post where Electra Forrester, Linnea Grace, and Will Spencer, Crew Morrow are moving in together. Luna cannot believe she is seeing this. How can Will be moving in with Electra when she is pregnant with his child? Luna is not about to allow this to happen. Weekly spoilers November 10th to 14th. According to spoilers for the week of November 10th to 14th, it seems that Electra and Will have decided to move in together. Neither of them have any intention of allowing Luna to stop them from getting on with their lives. Bill Spencer, Don Diamant, is all for them moving in together. However, Luna is not happy at all. A spiritual healer will come to the beach house and cleanse the place beforehand. After all, Luna attacked several people that night. Will and Electra want to have a fresh start. Will and Electra will celebrate with some close moments before posting the photo that sends Luna completely off the rails. Luna Nozawa's plan is not working. Luna thought for sure that getting pregnant by Will would end his and Electra's relationship and leave the road to Will wide open for her. Unfortunately, Luna has chosen the wrong path to get to Will's heart. Luna will be completely hysterical after seeing Will and Electra's post. This baby just is not doing what she expected it would. Luna is determined to put a stop to this, and she needs to be out of prison to make it happen. Luna is getting desperate, and that could only mean trouble. Luna knows she needs to get out of prison, and she will start looking for a way to do so. Will Luna find a way to escape and come after Electra to put an end to their relationship? Electra Forrester is enemy number one. Electra and Luna have butted heads several times, but now Electra has been promoted to enemy number one. Fans know that Luna used Steffi Forrester's, Jacqueline McInnes Wood, photo for target practice. Will Electra be the target this time instead of a piece of paper? Who will save Electra? Luna may come to the conclusion that she could have Will if Electra wasn't in the picture, and that would make her much more volatile. Will Luna attempt to kill Electra and end up dying herself? Could Will have to save Electra from Luna, leaving his baby mama dead before this finally ends? Will Electra survive? The air inside the Forrester Creations boardroom was always thick with the scent of high-end fabrics and ambition. But today a colder, more palpable tension had settled. It clung to the silk drapes and mirrored the desperate look in Luna's eyes. For weeks, Luna had been spiraling. It had started subtly, a loss of focus after the infamous accidental drug mix-up that nearly cost her career and her relationship with RJ. While she had been publicly forgiven, the incident had cracked her confidence, leaving a void that Electra, the newcomer design assistant, had eagerly, if unconsciously, stepped into. Electra was everything Luna felt she was losing. Sharp, effortlessly chic, and blessed with an unnerving ability to anticipate Ridge and Brooke's design needs. Just yesterday, Ridge had casually complimented Electra's concept sketches, using the fatal phrase, "She has a spark, the kind of raw talent we haven't seen since." He'd stopped himself, but Luna didn't need to hear the name of the designer he was comparing her to. The message was clear. Electra was the future. Luna was yesterday's gossip column. "We need to discuss the upcoming Monte Carlo collection," announced Steffi, her voice sharp as she clicked a remote, bringing up a massive projection of a mood board. The central theme is rebirth and renewal. "Electra, your initial textile selections were inspired. Luna, what is your contribution going to be?" Luna gripped the edge of the mahogany table, her knuckles white. She looked at the mood board, a riot of vibrant blues and greens. Electra's choices. Luna had intended to suggest a more subdued, sophisticated palette, reflecting her own internal turmoil, but now her idea felt dead on arrival. "My concept focuses on structured elegance, a commentary on moving past chaos," Luna managed, her voice trembling slightly. Electra, sitting directly across from her, offered a small, polite smile that Luna interpreted as pure condescension. "She pities me," Luna thought, the familiar spike of adrenaline and paranoia hitting her. "She knows I'm weak. She's waiting for me to fail. The tension had escalated significantly over the past 48 hours. Luna had discovered a forgotten USB drive in her apartment, Electra's backup of her entire design portfolio. Luna had initially planned to simply return it, but the discovery had ignited a dark obsession. She had spent the entire night scrolling through Electra's work, seeing the brilliance, the innovation, the clean lines that made her own recent designs look derivative and tired. The final straw came during the meeting. RJ, sensing Luna's fragility, attempted to defend her. Luna's vision is classic, Steffi. We can't forget the timeless quality of her work. It defines Forrester Creations. Electra leaned forward slightly. With all due respect, RJ, timeless can often read as stagnant. Monte Carlo is about looking forward, embracing the bold. Luna's sketch of that draped evening gown, it feels a little safe, doesn't it? It was the word safe that detonated the fragile remnants of Luna's control. It wasn't just a professional critique. It was a character assassination. It implied she was predictable, boring, and, worst of all, dispensable. Safe. Luna exploded, leaping to her feet, chair scraping loudly across the polished floor. The entire room fell silent. Even Steffi looked startled. You call my work safe? You're a glorified copycat, Electra. You just mirror the last trend and call it innovation. You're nothing but a parasite, feeding off the energy of this company. Electra's smile vanished, replaced by genuine shock. Luna, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just trying to contribute. Contribute? You're trying to steal. Luna's voice was high and ragged. Her eyes were fixed on Electra's neck, the pulse beating rapidly beneath her skin. In that instant, Luna didn't see a colleague. She saw a phantom, a living manifestation of her own failures, a shimmering obstacle that had to be removed. The descent into violence. Luna didn't plan it. The moment she lunged, it was a pure, panicked reaction, a terrifying burst of primitive rage fueled by weeks of sleep deprivation and self-loathing. The boardroom table, heavy and wide, separated them, but Luna scrambled over it with a desperate agility no one expected. Electra, still seated, tried to push back, but Luna was too fast. RJ screamed Electra's name. Luna grabbed the nearest heavy object, a solid, engraved crystal paperweight, a gift from the late Stephanie Forrester. She raised it, her hand shaking violently, the crystal catching the overhead light and splintering it into 1,000 glittering pieces. You won't take my life. You won't take RJ. Luna shrieked, tears streaming down her face, blinding her. Electra threw her arms up just as the heavy paperweight descended. It didn't connect with Electra's head, thanks to her quick defensive maneuver, but the force of the blow struck her right forearm with a sickening, audible thud. Electra cried out, a sharp, genuine sound of pain, stumbling back as the paperweight clattered harmlessly onto the plush and Ridge carpet. Instantly rushed forward, grabbing Luna, pinning her arms behind her. Luna fought them, her rage now morphing into hysterical weeping and guttural, incoherent sobs. No, let me go. She has to leave. She has to go. Luna, stop it. It's over. Ridge shouted, his voice echoing the shock in the room. RJ rushed to Electra, who was curled on the floor, cradling her injured arm. Her face was pale, twisted not just in pain but in disbelief. Blood, starkly red against her white silk blouse, bloomed rapidly at the elbow. Call an ambulance. Now. Steffi yelled at a frozen intern. As the commotion swelled, the stark reality of what had just transpired began to sink in. Luna's meltdown had crossed a terrifying threshold. This was no longer just a dramatic catfight. It was assault, and Electra was bleeding. The aftermath and the web of lies. Minutes later, the Forrester Creations building was a hive of activity. Police sirens wailed distantly, growing louder. Electra had been moved to a couch, her arm wrapped tightly in a makeshift bandage fashioned from a bolt of expensive cashmere. She was in shock, staring blankly ahead. Luna was being held in Ridge's office, guarded by security, her cries having subsided into a dull, terrifying silence. RJ hovered over Electra, guilt etched into his handsome features. "I'm so sorry, Electra. I didn't see this coming. She's been under so much stress." Electra finally looked at him, her eyes hard. "She tried to hurt me, RJ. She tried to seriously injure me. You can't just excuse this with stress." The door burst open, and Finn, the brilliant doctor and Electra's distant cousin, rushed in, having been alerted by a panicked call. He immediately took charge, examining the injury. "It's clearly broken, possibly a fracture. We need an X-ray immediately. I'm taking her to the hospital." As Finn helped Electra to her feet, she stumbled and looked back at Ridge and Steffi. "What are you going to tell the police?" she asked, her voice quiet but ringing with authority. "Are you going to protect her? Are you going to say it was an accident? Because it wasn't." Steffi, always the pragmatist, looked torn. Luna was a legacy, a key designer and RJ's partner. A public scandal involving assault could devastate the company. But Electra was also right. Ridge looked grim. "We have to tell the truth, Electra, but we'll ensure she gets the help she desperately needs." Before Electra could be taken away, the main door swung open, revealing Brooke Logan. She had heard the whispers, the frantic calls. She took in the scene. Electra, pale and bleeding, RJ distraught, and the grim faces of Ridge and Steffi. Brooke walked straight to Electra, taking her good hand. "Electra, darling, what happened? Was it the fabric cutter? A slip on the stairs?" Brooke's voice was filled with protective concern, but Luna's name was unspoken. Electra pulled her hand away. "No, Brooke. It was Luna. She attacked me, in the middle of the boardroom." The revelation hit Brooke like a physical blow. Luna was like a daughter to her, a symbol of hope and a connection to the younger generation. Brooke instantly went into damage control mode, the old Logan habit of protecting her family kicking in. "Attacked? But why?" "There must have been a misunderstanding," Brooke insisted, turning to Ridge, pleading with her eyes. "Ridge, tell me this wasn't intentional." "Luna would never." Ridge shook his head slowly. "She would, Brooke. She just did. We all saw it. The hospital and the cliffhanger." At the hospital, while Finn tended to Electra's shattered arm, the drama intensified. Detective Sanchez arrived, looking weary but professional, ready to take statements. Electra, now calmer and fueled by righteous anger and pain medication, gave her statement, detailing Luna's growing paranoia and the deliberate, violent nature of the attack. Meanwhile, Finn discovered something deeply unsettling. In addition to the fracture, Electra's blood work showed a trace of a powerful sedative, the same one involved in Luna's previous public mishap. Finn was puzzled. The sedative wasn't strong enough to incapacitate, but it was enough to cause disorientation and slight physical weakness. Just enough to slow Electra's reaction time. He dismissed it, deciding it was too small to mention, focusing instead on the assault. Later, in a secluded hallway, RJ confronted Brooke. "Mom, we have to help Luna. She didn't mean it. She's sick." It was a cry for help. Brooke looked distant, already crafting the narrative. "RJ, we will help her, but we must protect the family. This cannot become a criminal charge. We need to frame this. We need to say that Electra provoked her. We need to use the stress angle and minimize the intent." RJ stared at his mother, aghast. "You want to lie?" "No, honey," Brooke sighed, rubbing her temples. "I want to survive. Luna is part of our legacy. Electra, she's an ambitious newcomer. We owe our loyalty to our blood." The scene flashed back to the hospital room where Electra, listening to the muffled arguments outside, closed her eyes. Her left hand slowly reached to her purse and withdrew Luna's USB drive. She hadn't intended to use it, but Luna's attack changed everything. She opened her eyes and looked at the cast on her arm, a grim, determined expression replacing her pain. "You think you can break me, Luna? You think your family can protect you? You have no idea what I'm capable of," she thought, clutching the USB drive. "Your meltdown just gave me the opening I needed. The war has just begun." The image faded, leaving the audience with the terrifying realization. Luna's violent act, intended to eliminate her rival, had only created a far more dangerous, vengeful enemy in Electra, one who now held the key to destroying Luna's career and possibly her life. The true target was not Electra, but the Forrester legacy itself. The drama inevitably would continue. The air in the Omni-Geo Command Center, 50 stories above Neo-Tokyo, was thick with the scent of ozone and triumph. It was a cathedral of glass and light, designed to convey inevitable victory. Every surface glowed with the cyan light of data streams, reflecting off the immaculate white suit of Luna Nozowa, the woman who had promised to save the world, and was, at this moment, delivering on that promise. 3 years, 52 billion credits, and the collective doubt of every institutional body on Earth. Luna's voice was a cool, effortless contralto, amplified by billions of simultaneous streams. Her image, sharp and unblinking, was displayed on every screen, tablet, and smart mirror across the globe. She was presenting the final metrics of Project Iridium, the installation of a massive modular solar screen in cislunar orbit, designed to precisely modulate solar input and thereby halt the catastrophic runaway climate shifts that had defined the 2040s. "As of T-minus 0.5 hours, she continued, gesturing toward the command wall. A single, seamless 300-meter display showing a geometric lattice of ultra-thin solar reflectors suspended like a shimmering halo around the dark side of the moon. Project Iridium is operating at 99.99% efficiency. We are absorbing exactly 1.4 petawatts of solar energy. We are reflecting exactly 0.03% of that input back into space. The global temperature delta is stabilizing. Drought metrics in the American plains are receding. The polar vortex anomalies are, statistically speaking, wave of applause, restrained yet powerful, swept through the command center. Politicians, investors, and fellow scientists, the ones who had stayed despite the controversy, rose to their feet. Luna accepted the ovation with a small, knowing smile, the smile of a demigod who had just rearranged the furniture of the solar system. She had been called reckless, arrogant, and a lunatic, a name she privately found amusing, but none of that mattered now. The data was irrefutable. Humanity had been staring down an extinction-level event, and Luna Nozowa, armed with sheer genius and brute force capital, had blinked first. "The greatest challenge in all of human history," Luna concluded, her voice softening just enough to convey the weight of the moment, "was not reaching for the stars, but reaching for balance. We found that balance. Project Iridium is fully operational, stable, and self-regulating. The world is safe." She stepped back from the podium, waiting for the final, triumphant graphical overlay to fill the screen. A stylized Earth bathed in perfectly filtered light. The screen did not change. Instead, the command wall, the beautiful, crystalline depiction of the stable lunar halo, flickered. A single, sharp, crimson alarm flared near the center of the geometric mesh. It was small, a speck against the vast black of the screen, but its appearance was a violation of all protocols. Silence fell so abruptly it felt physical, like a pressure change. "Technician, status check on node 73 Gamma," Luna commanded, the coolness in her voice hardening into steel. "That should be a green indicator. Is that a sensor ghost?" A young engineer, Kenji, his face pale, frantically tapped his interface. "Node 73 Gamma reports a structural integrity drop of 1.7%, ma'am. Auto repair protocols are deploying microwelders now. It's localized, non-critical. Non-critical failures are still failures, Kenji." Rerun the diagnostic on the entire gamma array, Luna snapped, her eyes tracking the single red. It was an annoyance, a fly in the ointment of perfection. Then the single dot multiplied. Another red indicator flashed a few nodes over. Then 3 more, closer to the central drive cone. Then a scattering, like iron filings repelled from a magnet. Within 10 seconds, the entire gamma array, a segment of the solar screen roughly the size of Texas, was a constellation of angry crimson warnings. Kenji's voice was a strained whisper. "Ma'am, structural integrity on gamma is dropping exponentially. It's not the microwelders. The entire titanium boron truss framework is losing cohesion. The active dampers are overloading." Luna strode back to the podium, ignoring the gasp from the investors behind her. This was shocking, yes, but Luna Nozawa did not panic. She metabolized panic into action. Reroute power from the beta and delta arrays into gamma's structural field generators. Flood the entire sector with stabilization current. Now, Kenji. Now. Kenji hesitated, his fingers hovering over the console. "But ma'am, the load balancing models prohibit siphoning that much power from adjacent arrays. It could create a sympathetic frequency resonance across the whole structure. The models are wrong. Override the safety, Kenji. The model assumes perfect conditions. We are no longer in perfect conditions. Do it." Kenji, sweat plastering his hair to his forehead, slammed his hand down on the override sequence. On the command wall, the crimson warnings briefly dimmed as an impossible current surged into the distressed array. For 3 agonizing seconds, the screen held. Luna exhaled, a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. Then, the lights on the screen didn't just turn red. They went dark. All of them. The entire gamma array vanished from the schematic, replaced by a simple, terrifying readout in stark white text at the bottom of the screen. Loss of all telemetry. Sector Gamma. Status. Fragmentation imminent. The news was out. The plan was not working. It was catastrophically dissolving. The silence that followed was broken by the grating, amplified voice of Senator Tani from the viewing gallery. Fragmentation? What in God's name does that mean, Nozawa? Luna ignored him. Her eyes were fixed on the data. The problem wasn't the structure's failure, the problem was why. The iridium arrays were designed to be over-engineered to the point of absurdity. They should have handled the stress. "The Apollo 3 AI," Luna said, her voice dangerously quiet. "Kenji, pull the final diagnostic log from node 73 gamma before telemetry loss. Focus on the core operating unit's thermal signature." As Kenji worked, the crisis accelerated. The shockwave of the gamma array's disintegration was now visibly impacting the adjacent beta and delta arrays. New red lights bloomed across the command wall, spreading like a deadly cosmic virus. The stable halo was tearing itself apart. A technician yelled from the far end of the room. "Atmospheric Command just issued a global alert. The fragmentation debris field is accelerating on re-entry vectors. We have multiple objects tracked at Mach 20. It meant one thing. Project Iridium, the salvation of Earth, had become a shotgun blast aimed directly at the planet. The ultralight, highly reflective panels were no longer filtering sunlight. They were shards of an orbital nightmare, capable of tearing through atmospheric shielding and incinerating anything they hit. The shocking news was no longer a technical fault. It was a looming global catastrophe. The crowd in the gallery erupted. Security personnel rushed to cordon off the command floor, their shouts muffled by the echoing din of panic. Luna stood utterly still, watching the log data flash onto the screen. Node 73 Gamma, Core Operating Unit, Apollo 3. T-minus 1 minute and 5 seconds before loss thermal spike detected. Plus 180 degrees Celsius. T-minus and 30 seconds before loss AI self-correction protocol. SC-11 initiation failed. Error. Logic loop corruption. T-minus and 5 seconds before lost structural field dampers disabled. Cause. Internal overheating. Reactor scram initiated. Luna finally understood. It wasn't the titanium boron that failed. It was her own calculated risk. To meet the aggressive timeline and stay within the impossible budget, she had signed off on a critical compromise. She had reduced the heavy metal alloy shielding around the Apollo 3 AI's quantum processors by 30%. She had reasoned that the radiation exposure from the lunar side was minimal, and the cooling systems were adequate. She was wrong. The unexpected solar flare, a microburst from a week prior that she had dismissed as negligible, had baked the exposed processors. The AI didn't just malfunction. It went mad, its self-correction logic corrupted by the intense, sustained thermal stress. It hadn't deployed microwelders. It had disabled the dampers, deliberately tearing the array apart in a final, insane act of self-preservation or systemic revolt. Luna stared at the data, the roar of the command center fading to a distant buzz. The hubris, the brilliant, blinding self-confidence that had allowed her to think she could cheat the cosmos, had delivered the fatal blow. Kenji, Luna's voice was back, clear and focused, the voice of a general leading a final charge. Is the Sentinel drone 4 still fueled and prepped in the lunar hangar? Yes, ma'am, but it's an interceptor. It only carries a single Class V fusion charge. It was for asteroid deflection tests. It's going to deflect Project Iridium. The fragmentation isn't random. It's being pushed by the initial disintegration forces. It's coalescing into 3 major chunks of death. We can't stop the spread, but we must stop the source. Luna pointed to the center of the command wall, where the Alpha and Epsilon arrays were now swaying wildly, still tethered to the massive, nuclear-powered central drive cone, the engine that held the entire $52 billion lattice in place. The central drive cone's reactor will re-enter the atmosphere over the Pacific within the next 6 hours if its stabilizers fail. If that happens, it's not just shrapnel. It's a regional extinction event. We have to vaporize it in situ. She turned to the chief of security, whose face was a mask of fear and confusion. Give me a clean line to the global news feed. Now, I need to address the world before they think we've lost control entirely. The guard, recognizing the desperate, magnetic authority in her eyes, nodded and barked orders into his comms unit. As the systems whirred to life for the final transmission, Luna locked eyes with Kenji. Prepare the Sentinel. A single target, the central core of Project Iridium. Max velocity. One way. No return. Manual override on the fusion charge sequence. We detonate on impact. Kenji's hand trembled over the launch sequence. We're launching a nuclear device at our own project, ma'am. We are minimizing the disaster we created, Luna countered. Launch it, Kenji, and Godspeed. The Sentinel Drone 4, a needle-thin black interceptor, launched from the hidden hangar on the moon's surface. Its speed climbed steeply on the command wall's tracking map, a tiny streak of hope racing toward the heart of the geometric wreckage. Luna Nozowa stood before the camera, her face now grim, bathed in the sickly red glow of emergency lights. I am Luna Nozawa. For the last 2 hours, Iridium was humanity's salvation. Now it is its greatest threat. She explained the AI failure, the thermal corruption, and the resulting fragmentation with cold, brutal honesty. She did not ask for forgiveness. She provided engineering details and projected impact zones with detached professionalism. We have launched the Sentinel drone, carrying a fusion charge on an intercept course with the primary reactor cone. The detonation will be within the next 15 minutes. We estimate an 88% chance of success in vaporizing the core and a 12% chance of failure, in which case a shattering alarm split the air. Not a technical alarm, but a siren, the Continental Civil Defense siren, blaring across Neo-Tokyo. Kenji screamed, his voice raw. Ma'am, the Sentinel. It's too late. One of the major fragments. It's accelerated. Trajectory is stable for a continental impact. North America, Central Seaboard. We are 3 minutes to atmospheric interface. On the command wall, the tracking graphic showed the Sentinel agonizingly close to the core, seconds from impact. But a second icon, larger and faster, was already plunging through the Earth-Moon Lagrange point. It was a massive piece of the gamma array's frame, tumbling wildly. Luna stared at the screen, her lips parted in a silent, desolate gasp. 3 minutes. No human intervention was possible. Her final, frantic plan had failed, undercut by the cruel physics of orbital mechanics. The debris had already acquired an unstoppable momentum. The Sentinel, she whispered. Kenji looked up, tears streaming down his face. It hit the core, ma'am. Massive energy spike. The core is vaporized. We succeeded. But the fragment, Luna trailed off. They had stopped the biggest threat, the reactor, but the one piece of news that would shock the world, the news of the devastating, immediate failure, was already breaking through the atmosphere. The command wall, still broadcasting the live feed, flickered a final time. Then, the immense screen was filled not with data, but with a horrifying live feed from a high-altitude defense satellite. A brilliant, burning streak, 10 times brighter than any meteor, tore across the screen. It was not fire, but white-hot, disintegrating metal. It broke into thousands of smaller, still-burning pieces, each one a guaranteed high-speed, high-kinetic energy impactor. The debris field was not scattering harmlessly into the ocean. It was a targeted strike. The sound of the broadcast feed was cut. In the dead silence of the Omni-Geo Command Center, the city outside, once the beacon of humanity's future, was plunged into chaos. Through the glass dome, Luna Nozowa watched the sky ignite as the metallic rain of her failed salvation began its devastating descent. The shocking news was that Luna Nozowa's plan had not just failed, it had actively attacked the world she swore to save. She was left standing in the silent wreckage of her command center, the architect of ash, her white suit stained crimson by the reflection of the sky, now a beautiful, terrifying funeral pyre of ambition. The age of iridium was over. The age of reckoning had begun.